Morning everybody. Today I'm hoping to talk about production numbers, specifically Ampere E production numbers, and I suppose to a lesser degree Bolt, because there's a little bit of a bottleneck. I think it was more or less the first day that you could pre-order it in Norway. There was something like 4,000 pre-orders, and to date, 6 months later, they've shipped something like 1,000 cars. So the dealers in Norway have been told, stop taking pre-orders, just put people on a waiting list. And equally, the other European countries that get the Ampere E are really struggling to get any inventory. If GM still owned Opel, I would consider this to be a massive strategic mistake, because in Europe, an Ampere E is a from one side of the continent to the other capable car, whereas you go to the US, for example, it's a much more difficult driving environment for EVs because of the extended distances between metro areas. In Europe, however, I think the Bolt is a fantastic car, or the Ampere E. Oh, it's very confusing. Why can't they just sell the Bolt over here? And while we're on the subject, why can't they just make a right-hand drive one? It's all about the environment and the distances involved and how developed the quick charge network is and how targeted at people trying to drive longer distances that quick charge network is. Because one of the problems that certainly quick charge networks have had in the past in the UK is they've tended to put the chargers at stupid places like car parks for football stadiums. And I mean, my favourite one was there was a CHAdeMO quick charger in the car park of the O2. I think they've got rid of it now. But you had to pay £12.50 to go into the car park, and that enabled you to park for, I think it was all day or something. But the charger takes 30 minutes. You had lots of these sorts of things, quick chargers tucked out of the way, not near major trunk roads particularly, usually in cities or in city centres, which made getting from A to B a right nightmare. Dealerships, my God, who puts quick chargers at dealerships? I mean, okay, as an emergency, let's get this thing off the ground kind of measure, it works. I drove to Newquay in a 24 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf, and I just used the dealership quick chargers because at that point there weren't any motorway quick chargers. And it took me ages. It took me 14 hours to do a journey that in my Tesla would take 7 or something. So it was hard work and stressful because they only ever had one quick charger and it may or may not be working. And if you got there late, if you hit traffic and you turned up after 5, then I'm sorry, that quick charger's inaccessible until the next morning. That's just what you want to hear when you're on a road trip, isn't it? But we've got round that problem now in the UK for the most part. We've got motorway service stations with multiple quick chargers. We've now got the superchargers, of course, but that's a slightly different thing. We've got other quick charge manufacturers starting to move into that sort of more convenient charging space. I'm thinking people like Shell here. And it's similar on the rest of the continent. When we were driving through France, I did see some CHAdeMO units. They were only CHAdeMO, I think, not CHAdeMO and CCS, but they were at motorway service stations. They were in a good, useful place where you could use them to get from one city to another. So why don't they just send more Bolts over here? Ampere E's. Whoever names electric vehicles, off the top of my head, I can't think of a single electric vehicle name that I actually like. I think a large part of the reason why there is this difficulty supplying Ampere E's to European markets is because they can't produce enough batteries. Stride up a little bit outside now. I'm going to grab Jasper and we're going to do some skateboarding.
And I cycled on my big bike with the new seat on.
A little bit more skateboarding first. Hey, oh, you're turning it. Yeah, just be careful stopping and starting and you'll be fine. Oh dear. Like I said, careful stopping and starting because it's a little bit higher than you're used to. There we go. And be careful, extra careful when you stop. Well, that seems to have been a success seat-wise. I'm pleased I didn't put it on any sooner because he can only just keep himself upright when he stops. Going over to the shops. Obviously, I'm not walking. I had a sneaky bit of chocolate and I got the smoky back bacon, so mission is accomplished. Now I just have to head home, and there's only one way to do that. Well, it's nice to see the rain has more or less held off. Now I've got to be quite quick because the other thing I had to get from the shop was wrapping paper, which is actually needed today in order to wrap the present for my nephew, which we're going to give. It's not his birthday today, but it will be soon, so right. Oh, and this is me. One packet of smoky bacon coming up. There we go. And I got some wrapping paper, so I'm going to go and wrap Dexter's thingamajiggy. That thing. Awesome way to make any trip to the shops much more fun. Right, I'm going to jump briefly back to EVs. The CEO of GM, whose name I think is Michelle Barra, I should know that. She was saying how governments shouldn't be trying to artificially drive the demand for EVs. Consumers should want EVs just naturally on their own. I actually think that consumers do want EVs. It's just at the moment they can't produce the EVs that people want in quantities that people are demanding, which is why there are virtually no Ampera E's coming across the channel. It's why the Nissan Leaf, the new Nissan Leaf, is going to be a 40 kilowatt hour instead of a 60. Nissan could do a 60, but they'd never be able to satisfy demand, and they probably wouldn't make any money on it either. Just look at Tesla, right? They are not, I mean, it's kind of middle of the road quality when it comes to interior fit and finish, when it comes to reliability of little bits here and there, but the one thing they do have is an exceptionally awesome drivetrain. And guess what? They literally cannot make enough of them. There you have it, EVs, not a demand from the public problem, but rather a production problem at the auto manufacturers. And that's the thing, I mean, EVs are just the most incredibly awesome thing. Until you've experienced one, you really have no idea. My sister and brother-in-law have turned up, and Dex is using. Whoa, dude!
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, he's a bit mental, isn't he? You've got to steer it. You've got to steer it. There we go.
No,
Oh, wait.
Watch it, Jasper. Oh, he's got his tongue out like I always have when I'm concentrating. What's where are you going? Trying to be quick because it's raining. Oh, there we go. Today's video is coming to an emergency end because we've got family that I haven't seen for a while, and I've got to catch up and stuff like that, and Jasper's having a meltdown with the Lego. Although in fairness, he's actually been alright now all of a sudden. I hope you've enjoyed today's video and found it interesting and fun. If you have, remember to like it, share it and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram if you don't already. And I'll see you tomorrow for the next instalment of my daily vlog. Bye! There really is nothing quite like riding along, holding out an ATD on an electric skateboard to make you feel like Casey Neistat. Or at least a little bit like Casey Neistat, maybe not fully.